Shalom. Call hello, Yahweh Bashem, Hawashai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, among the heathen nations that be like the speckled bird. And to the Aquath that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. And I'd like to welcome you to another lesson. And this is truly the last days. We're on the last moments of the last days. I'm going to start with 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, the first verse, and it reads, He answered me and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then thou shalt well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. All right, so I'm going to turn this over to Dave Hodges, and this is the Common Sense Show, and let you listen to his take on what's going on. And this is a pretty diligent guy, you know, diehard American, diehard prepper, diehard pro-constitutionalist, you know, and the people are very, very upset, and the people are not willing to abide by the government anymore. So without any further ado, I'm going to start a little bit. This is a short video. It's only like, you know, almost 6 minutes long, but I'm going to start just a little bit past the 3-minute mark.
Did you know that small business is the biggest employer in the United States? Or at least it was, until we decided what was essential and not essential, or what's constitutional and not constitutional. But small business has always been the backbone of the American economy, the American employment force. But no more. And I'm going to give you a statistic, and this should rock you to the core. But you're going to have to wait. Because first of all, I need to introduce myself, as about 40% of the people that come to this site are coming for the first time. Welcome.
It actually started at the
My name is Dave Hodges. I am the host of something called the...
There we go.
Of over 30%. That's 8% higher than any time during the Great Depression. And now these small business failures are going to be happening. So tell me, do you feel safe and secure? Do you think this economy is in good hands now? Do you think all this deference to the big billionaire box stores while all the small businesses were shut down, you think that was such a good idea now? Unemployment up the yazoo. 3 to 4% of the employment may be due to people getting checks, and it's just as profitable to get paid by the government and sit on your butt and not work. Okay, that's fine. But that's only 3 to 4%. That's still far higher than at any time for unemployment rate at the height of the Depression. People are failing to recognize the time they live in. They're failing to recognize the desperation of what America is entered into. And we are in full out being conquered. Full out, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake about it. What are you going to do about it? Well, I've said it before. We're running out of time. But we need millions of people in the streets. We need hundreds of lawsuits, class action lawsuits. And we need to unelect and remove judges and a good number of the politicians. No judge should ever have a second term. Come serve your time and go back to work. Get a real job. And with politicians, I think you let them get reelected once and then you move them on. We don't need these career politicians. And we need to be working towards this. Make government more responsible. In the meantime, if you've got a small business, open it up. Don't wait for your government. Open it up. We'll publicize the heck out of what you do here, because it's wrong what's going on. As the Mojave, Arizona County Sheriff said yesterday, it is illegal and unconstitutional for government to decide what businesses are open and not others, because it constitutes unequal protection under the law. How many times have you heard me say that in the last 2 months? Quite a bit. So, ladies and gentlemen, please get active. This is your last chance to fight for your country, and we're not going to be able to wait for the election. And if we don't move things in the other direction, Donald Trump is going to lose. I still think there's time to turn it around. Mike Adams and I had this debate today in an interview.
So that's enough. What he's telling you is to basically enact civil unrest, because that's basically what he's saying. All right, and the things that he's complaining about, Jacob has been a victim of all along. You know, unfair laws that are against the people, and corrupt judges that serve more than one term. Because most of these judges stay in office because it's profitable to be a judge, especially when you have institutionalized racism in place, fraudulent entities in place, which you can capitalize on when you're a judge. The federally reserve things that are ran and controlled by the Federal Reserve, things like Title 4D, and the of course the diabolical and very profitable privatized prison industry. But this is 2 Ezra 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings, nor their princes, and in the course of their action they shall stand in that power. So these people are ready to raise up and fight against their government and their government officials, man. All right? Now you got this contact tracing thing that's coming into play. Okay? That's really going to set it off. When they start snatching people and snatching your family members, people going to lose it, man. And this is what they want. This is the reason why they had all that military hardware moved to different strategic places all over the nation, man. Mainly near and outside the big cities, where they were hiding all these military vehicles down in those gigantic rock quarries and stuff like that. There's a huge rock quarry that's probably about a couple miles long, easy, and a couple miles deep, just south of Chicago, and southwest of Chicago, but maybe about an hour outside the city, if that. And I imagine it's probably full like the rest of them, or like many of them. All right, so we're gonna click to another video now, where this cop is speaking out against the tyranny of law enforcement, or law enforcement enforcing tyrannical laws that go against the Constitution. Like I said, these patriots and these constitutionalists, these law enforcement and military people who took that oath, some of them take that oath to heart, about defending the Constitution. Because what you people don't realize is we have entered into the time of Jacob's trouble. This is Jeremiah 30:7, and it reads, Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. But he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and I will burst thy bonds, and the strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. They shall serve Yahweh their power, and David their king, who I will raise up unto them. So that means the return of King David, man. That's how you know that the people over in the land of Israel are imposters. Because you don't go, the people of Israel, the children of Israel don't go back to Israel until David is raised up, and all the other nations are put under the foot of the Lord. Like he said, till he make his enemies his footstool. And every nation that is not of the nation of Israel itself is an enemy to the Lord. Point blank, period. Verse 10. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Yahweh, neither is dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And because we're in captivity here in America, now more so than ever. All right? And Jacob shall return and shall be at rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. So, like I said, when Jacob goes back to the land of Israel, they will be at peace. And nobody will be making them afraid. There will be no need for allies. There will be no need for Iron Dome and all this other mess, military hardware. But let's go and find this video. Yeah. And let's go about to the 6-minute mark.
I promise you, you don't want to go through that, and I hope I never have to go through that again.
Let's go back a little bit.
Tyrannical acts against our citizens, you're not ready for combat.
Let's start at 5:30.
Okay? I don't want to see bloodshed in the streets. On either side of this coin. I don't want to see fellow officers get injured or killed, and I certainly don't want to see citizens get injured or killed. And I promise you, most of you out there doing these tyrannical acts against our citizens, you're not ready for combat. You're not mentally or physically ready for combat in the first place. I promise you, you don't want to go through that, and I hope I never have to go through that again. You don't get to just say, well, I'm doing this because I was told to do so, or I'm following orders, or I need to keep this job. Like, I have the same sob story that the rest of you guys have, but my personal choices and my living arrangements, no matter what they are, don't allow me to trample on people's rights. And I don't understand why that concept is so hard for people to understand. Listen, you need to stand up for what's right. You need to, if you're part of a department or an agency that is asking people or asking their officers or their deputies to impose on people's rights and infringe on their freedoms, you need to step up and say, no, that's not me. That's not what I signed up for, and that's going against my oath. And if that costs you your job, so be it. At least you'll be able to look at yourself in the mirror at night. I've already expressed this to my department. And luckily for me, I come from a department that I feel like my chain of command shares my view, but I don't care what department you're part of or what your chain of command thinks. You don't get to trample on people's liberty. And so, as a special operations veteran, I've fought on the streets of Iraq under the U.S. government's guise of freedom. And I'm telling you what, the American people are going to you are going to wake a sleeping giant, and they are going to fight 10 times harder for their freedom on their soil than anything you've ever seen before. And if that's something you're willing to face, then keep trampling on people's rights. But I promise you, the American spirit of defiance is going to rise again, and it's going to be a big problem for our country.
This is 2 Ezra 15 and 15. For sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and the great tribulation. There is a lack of bread. You're also in the middle of a famine. Your food supplies are shrinking. All right. And there are home invasions being reported all over the place already. This is 2 Ezra 6 and 24. Because there's division within the country. There's division within the government. There's division within the police departments. There's division within the citizens. Within the political parties. America is completely and totally divided. And it's a powder keg just waiting for a spark to light it up. But this is 2 Ezra 6 and 24. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs and fountains shall stand still. In 3 hours they shall not run. So there's going to be no water either. no food, no water, and people cannibalism, the drinking of blood, all manner of wickedness is going to happen. All right, because people are going to start looking at people as food. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, Wa Abba Babal, Shalom.